Good morning, viewers. Welcome to today's newspaper review. Today we'll be looking at the headlines that are dominating today's newspaper. Firstly, we'll start from the Daily Sun newspaper. On the Daily Sun newspaper, the major headline here is gun battle in Osogbo. So Governor Adeleke his convoy was attacked in Osogbo. On 2027 post, security threats dwarf peace accord. Then still on 2027, Nanji notes threat to Mba's re-election in Enugu. This is coming from Nnamani concerning the 2027, saying that Nanji no threat to Mba's re-election in Enugu. Federal government to channel remitted pension. EFCC recoveries to education sector. Senate agrees NFF, NSC over poor performance of Nigerian football teams. So this holds emergency meeting with Diko and Gusua. Sanwo-Olu gives 20 million naira cash gift each to LASU's best graduating students. It is a very impressive one. Sanwo-Olu is going to give 20 million cash gift to each of the LASU's best graduating students. Tinubu orders 5-year national security threats assessments and defense plan. On to the next newspaper for today, which is the Daily Trust newspaper. On the Daily Trust newspaper, the major headline here is questions over 15.8 trillion naira subsidy savings. Then, beyond personalities, why ignoring Umar Suleiman's 1,43,216 votes is a threat to Nigeria. Then on insecurity, bandits kill 7, adopt 17 in Sokoto. This is a very sad one. Wike orders car dealers to vacate parks and gardens. So the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Wike, has ordered car dealers to vacate parks and gardens. Mascots kick off campaign for Tinubu in Abuja. Phantom Council. FEC approves forensic audit of MDAs. On to the next newspaper for today, which is the New Telegraph. On the New Telegraph newspaper, the major headline here is gunmen attacked Adeleke's convoy in Osogbo. Security operative repel assailants. So this particular headline is in almost all the newspaper because gunmen attacked Governor Adeleke's convoy in Osogbo. Reforms saved Nigeria 20.4 trillion in 30 months. This is coming from Oyedele, saying that reforms saved Nigeria 20.4 trillion naira just in 30 months. Tinubu, this is coming from President Tinubu. Tinubu now fund to take over funds recovered by EFCC, unclaimed dividends and others. Senate summons NSC, NFF over poor state of football. Then on IBB, Nwachukwu Usoba orders pay tribute to Sam Amukwa at Vanguard's 40th anniversary book launch. Then on 2027, then this is coming from Peter Obi. Obi's campaign to be anchored on 5 CS, says POMR on Obi's campaign in 2027. Homeland Security Advisor to coordinate 5-year national security threats assessment development plan. This is coming from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Homeland Security Advisors to coordinate 5 years national security threat assessment development plan. Then on PFIPC, FEC orders forensic probe of government processes, internal control weaknesses. Then on Plateau killings, still on Plateau killings and insecurity, military relocates HQ to Mango, launches Operation Hard Nuts. Experimental pea mimics exercise chemical in first human trial. This is coming from a study that experimental pea mimics exercise chemical in first human trial. On to the next newspaper for today, which is the Punch newspaper. On the Punch newspaper, the major headline here is on the 2027 poll, 571 billion naira campaign spending limit for presidential and governor candidates. 30 months after subsidy removal, federal government spends 30.6 trillion naira, saves 15.8 trillion naira. This is coming from the finance minister saying that 30 months after the removal fuel subsidy, the federal government has spent over 30.6 trillion and they have just saved 15.8 trillion naira in just 30 months. President moves EFCC recoveries 242 billion naira unclaimed dividends to NEL fund. Tinubu orders further forensic probe into fake agency scandal. Ex-servicemen suspend protests after defense minister assurance. This is on pension rule. Osun pool, Adeleke gets certificates, unveils 500 million naira victims fund. Ondo man arrested for burning daughter over bedwetting. This is very sad news. Sanwo-Olu gifts 20 million each to LASU's best graduating students. This particular headline is in all the newspapers as Sanwo-Olu is gifting 20 million naira each to the best graduating students from LASU. On to the next newspaper for today, which is the Guardian newspaper. On the Guardian newspaper here, the major headline here is State spending faces scrutiny over 15.8 trillion naira windfall. Citizens welfare. Then on 2027, Nigerian risk revenge of the poor over worsening hardship. Utomi warns. This is from Utomi saying that Nigeria has risk revenge of the poor over worsening hardship. 9.5 trillion naira salary bill. FEC targets ghost workers payroll fraud. Then on 2027, this is coming from Peter Obi, the NDC presidential candidate. He's saying that look beyond campaign slogans. Obi challenges Nigerians that they should look beyond campaign slogans concerning the 2027 election. El-Rufai's bid to transfer trial fails as Kaduna CJ backs Justice Kubo. Military pensioners storm Defense Ministry to protest 12 months arrears. Then on the Mangu massacre, Northern Senator rejects condolences and demand action. So the Northern senators are rejecting the condolences and they are demanding action concerning the Mangu massacre. Tinubu orders security overhaul amid concerns over policing gun violence. Pre-election anxiety. Profits taking wipe 5 trillion naira from NGX after 160 trillion naira peak. On to the next newspaper for today, which is the Vanguard newspaper. On the Vanguard newspaper here, the major headline here is allocations can't guarantee prosperity for states. This is coming from Oyedele saying that allocations can't guarantee state prosperity. Accolades for Vanguard. Uncle Sam as ex-staff launch book reunites plan media library. Nigerian targets 3 million BPD, 50 billion naira investments, 215 TCF gas reserves. This is coming from the federal government. FEC approves forensic audits to identify fake agencies, ghost employees. Tinubu appoints Abel Initan as HOCSF. Hoodlums shoot at Adeleke's convoy in Osogbo. This is on the attack concerning the Osun State Governor Adeleke, as hoodlum attacked his convoy in Osogbo. On to the next newspaper, which is The Nation. On The Nation newspaper, the major headline here is on Oyedele, how 15.8 trillion naira subsidy removal gains were utilized. I'll take that again. How 15.8 trillion naira subsidy removal gains were utilized. Adeleke okays 500 million naira fund of violence victims. Governor picks COR. Then on projects, Wike sets December deadline for completion of 10 key projects. Building long-term trust with OPE continues to invest in compliance and governance. APC yet to decide on Osun polls, says Iwatida concerning the APC Osun State poll, say that APC are yet to decide on Osun poll. Senate summons NLC, NFF over poor performance of national teams. On to the next newspaper, which is also the last newspaper for today, the Daily Monitor. On the Daily Monitor here, the major headline here is Tinubu approves National Threat Assessment 5-year defense plan. So the President Tinubu has approved National Threat Assessment and a 5-year defense plan. Then on 2027, stop treating elections as war, do or die affair. Mark warns political actors. This is coming from David Mark, to political actors concerning the 2027 election. He's telling them that they should stop treating election as a do or die affair or as a war. Still on 2027, Nigerians are angry, Utomi says, urges massive voter turnout. So it's still on 2027 election. Utomi is urging for massive voter turnout as Nigerians are hungry and angry at the same time. PFIPC, FEC orders forensic proof of government processes, internal control weaknesses. Then on Pigasan urges stable regulations to attract oil and gas investments. Then on insecurity, troops rescued 14 kidnapped victims, arrest 16 suspects. Reforms saved Nigeria from economic crisis. This is coming from the finance minister, saying that reforms have saved Nigerians from economic crisis. And that's all for today's newspaper review. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more updates. I'm Chidera Isum. To have a beautiful day.